Okay, today we're sitting out here by the pool, and it's in probably the 90 degrees. And what we're going to go back to is remember the snowstorm of 1950. So when you look around with all the flowers and the heat and everything, the pool open, why it's quite different. But I love to go to Wellston, Ohio. My grandparents were up there, Harry Kaiser, my grandpa, and Florence Kaiser was my grandma. And in the summertime, I would go up the day after school was out, and I would not come home until the day before school started because I loved to go up there. And there was a lot to do. There were kids to play, and the one that I probably hung around with most was a boy by the name of J.D. Martin. And he lived in a house back of my grandma. And there was a little alley that went down, and she lived in 414 East 8th Street in Wellston. Well, I went up, and I go this was around Thanksgiving time, and I went up to visit. Well, this snowstorm, they predicted snow, and it was not a snowstorm, it was a blizzard. And when I say blizzard, the snow eventually got about knee deep, and everything came to a stop. Well, nobody was doing anything. Everybody was staying in the house. And my grandpa, he worked for the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad. And what he did, he had the title of hostler, Hostler. And what it was, he worked all night long, and when the steam engines would come in off the road from freight, and mainly freight because he didn't have many passenger trains in those days, why, he would take it down to what was the coal tipple. In other words, it was a steam engine, and he would take the engine down, and he would fill up the tender with coal, which they needed to heat the boiler. And he would fill up the tank on the tender, so when it got ready to go, it was ready to go on the road and full freight cars. Well, anyway, I think it was about 50. It snowed, and it snowed, and it snowed, and it wouldn't stop from snowing. Well, Grandpa Kaiser was used to working on a steam engine. And where the house was a coal furnace in the basement. And he would go down and he took care of it. Well, he overdid it. The temperature was real low, and we had snow piled up on the front porch up the door and everything. Everything was buried in snow, cars and so on. Well, Grandpa goes down in the basement, and he gets the furnace going. And the temperature in the house kept getting hotter and hotter and hotter. And Grandma Kaiser got on his case because she said, "Harry, you're not running a steam engine. This is the house." Well, anyway, it got so hot in the house that they opened the windows and opened the door. And it got so hot that the snow on the front porch over a period of time started melting. And the depth of the snow kept going down because there were windows across, and he must have had the house 100 degrees. But anyway, the front porch started to clear of snow. With people walking down the street because there were no cars running, they were all hunched over and they had their hoods, they had their scarves and everything, about to freeze to death. And here is like summertime around our house because the heat was so hot that it was melting snow on the porch and the snow that was in the window sills. And we had the house, we had all the windows open. And it was basically, I think it was around Thanksgiving in the year 50, the blizzard of 50. And in Portsmouth, everything came to a stop. I mean, the snow was deep. The snow was knee deep. And if you were a short person, it was belt deep. And but we remembered that our house, we turned it into a summer mansion because Grandpa had it so hot that when you opened the doors, the windows, it was melting snow around the house.
How long did that blizzard last?
Huh?
How long did the blizzard last?
Well, it lasted a long time. It lasted like, about the time they got everything cleared up, I'd say roughly a week. Everything had came to a stop, but I believe it was around the blizzard of 50. But I was up there, and Grandpa Kaiser overheated the house, and the way the house was built, the porch was kind of protected, and so most of the heat coming out of the windows, over a period of time, the snow was melting because of the heat. And everybody laughed, and Grandma got so mad at him because everything changed. And she told him, if you go down and you take care of that furnace in the future, don't you think it's a railroad engine, because it's not. And that was some experience.